Hello and welcome back to the Entertainment Vortex. Today we were at Brennan Theaters watching Shazam. This movie, as a DC fan, I was extremely excited to see, although I was really worried at the same time. The trailers make it out to be this silly, irreverent, constantly firing these young jokes at you about the internet and Facebook and Snapchat and all this stuff. Obviously, by looking at me, that is not the age group I am in, so I was a little worried that this was going to go over my head. I was pleasantly surprised that that is not what it was. I almost feel like it was misrepresented a little in the trailers. This movie is a duality. It has a lot of very dark moments. It definitely does not pull punches, but then at the same time, it has very silly moments and very lighthearted aspects. And I think they mixed really well. You start the movie in a very dark place. Something happens, very brutal, sets everything up. And then as you go through the movie, they kind of sprinkle these dark moments in to make the story go forward. All around it are these hilarious, lighthearted, childlike moments that really work. It's like you get punched in the gut and then lifted back up, and then you get punched in the gut and then you get lifted back up again over and over again. And I really like the way they did that. I feel that this is probably the silliest superhero movie I've seen in quite a while. I know that everybody thinks back to Guardians of the Galaxy and things like that as kind of having a silly and weird humor to it, but I think this one takes it a little further, and it's because that they're kids. As you see in the trailer, it's a lot of kids acting like kids. And then once he gets his power, it's an adult acting like a kid. So it's just a lot of childlike wonder going on. It's not what would happen if you or I got superpowers, unless of course you're a child. It's what would happen if a young 14-year-old got superpowers. And that's a funny thing to watch. I expected there not to be much depth to this story. Because of the concept they were going for and because of the character being a kid that becomes an adult with superpowers and back and forth, I thought that they were really going to keep it mellow. It was going to be lighthearted all the way through, but there is some serious weight to this movie. Weight to the consequences of what's going on. Weight to the journey the people in the movie go through. Weight to some of the heavy ideas they use, like being a foster child and things like that. I was very impressed that all of this came together into what really is a beautiful story. But a beautiful story with crazy good action, amazing special effects, and a great band of characters. The strongest point of this movie were the actors, or the casting, I should say. Each one of the characters, his entire foster family that he gets placed with, him, the two foster parents, the villain's family, everybody involved, I think, was well casted. It felt right. Wholesome where it needed to feel wholesome. It felt sinister where it needed to feel sinister. And it meshed well. You don't have this childlike hero going up against this ultimate villain and then they don't work. It works for some reason, which you wouldn't think it would. You'd think it would just be silly and eye-rolling, but it is not. It works very well. The juxtaposition of them and the conversations they have and everything else. The special effects and some of the shot choices were just absolutely mind-blowing. I kind of wish they didn't use a lot of them in the trailers, like him jumping off the roof and transforming. I would have loved to have seen that in the movie for the first time because they really are wow moments when you see them on the big screen. And when you see them in a trailer, it's like, oh, that's cool, but it doesn't have the same impact. But there are some more of those that you get to see, some real impactful moments that either have an emotional impact on you or just make you just throw your hands up and go, that was freaking awesome. There's a lot of those moments. The biggest thing about this movie that struck me, everybody is constantly saying, at least a lot of the critics are constantly saying, that what the DC Extended Universe was doing wrong is that they were too dark. Everything about it is too dark. You hear that catchphrase everywhere. I'm a unique perspective, I guess you could say, because I'm a big fan of what's been done all the way through. While it's not perfect, I can find greatness in everything that's been done. I was happy to see that even in this lighthearted of a movie, they didn't skip out on the dark bits. There is some pretty dark moments in this movie. Some emotionally dark, some just flat out brutal that you see and you kind of have to experience emotionally to really understand what's going on. And I think the idea of trying to stick to a lighthearted tone all the time, it works for some, but it doesn't work for everybody. But this going back and forth, I think, is going to be more universally liked. I'm very curious to go back and talk to some of the DC critics I know personally. After they see this movie, they kind of see what they thought about it, and they thought about the change in feel, but the keeping of some of the dark moments. I'm definitely interested. If you're someone that has been a heavy critic of the DC Universe in the past, is this kind of what you wanted to see? I'm curious. Leave that down in the comment section below. Is this moving in the right direction? And if so, is there anything else you would change? So I'm going to give this movie a 9.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I can think of very little things in this movie that are bad. I had a great time watching it. I got emotionally involved. I shed a tear. And that's usually a good sign that I was immersed. I want to see it again. And I hope that our next foray into the DC Universe continues this trend with universally liked movies. Yeah, this is our third DC movie, second in a row that's been certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. And I like to see that. I want to see more of that. I want to see the DC Universe bring in fans because you know what? I love me some DC. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We give you multiple videos every single week. And we have t-shirts available if you're interested in those as well. Those are available down in the description below. We hope you'll follow us into the Vortex. We'll see you next time.